What is true freedom? What if everything you're chasing right now, success, recognition, financial security, the perfect life, is actually the cage that's keeping you from real freedom? We live in a world that constantly tells us to run faster, climb higher, and prove our worth to everyone watching. But the more we try to control our lives, the more trapped we feel inside, anxious, exhausted, and never enough. Over 2,300 years ago, the Taoist philosopher Zhuangzi asked a question that still shakes us today. Are you truly free, or are you simply obeying invisible chains you no longer notice? The modern trap of freedom. Today, we talk constantly about freedom. Freedom of choice, freedom of lifestyle, financial freedom, creative freedom. We believe that if we can just achieve more, earn more, and gain more control, then we will finally feel free. Yet look around, modern people are more anxious, stressed, and mentally trapped than ever before. We wake up every morning already running to meet deadlines, running to keep up with expectations, running to compete with others we don't even know. We scroll through social media and instantly feel behind. Someone else is more successful, more beautiful, more accomplished, living a life that seems far better than ours. And even when we achieve something, the satisfaction disappears quickly. Before we even celebrate, the pressure to reach the next milestone has already replaced the joy. We say we want freedom, but we spend most of our days imprisoned by fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of disappointing others, fear of losing what we have. Every decision we make is shaped by someone else's approval, parents' expectations, society's standards, the company's metrics, the invisible scoreboard in our minds. We wear masks to fit in, perform roles to be accepted, and suppress our true selves so others will like us. But the most painful truth is this: most of us are living a life chosen by others, not by ourselves. Maybe you've felt that feeling, the tightness in your chest when you're doing everything right, yet something deep inside whispers that you're living someone else's dream. You keep telling yourself that later you'll feel free, after you make more money, after you get the promotion, after life becomes stable. But later never comes. You're stuck in a cycle that repeats year after year. We live in an age of endless options, different careers, lifestyles, identities. But instead of liberating us, these choices often paralyze us. We are terrified of choosing the wrong path, so we stay frozen on the safe one. Ironically, having more choices doesn't make us freer, it makes us more afraid to move. Zhuangzi understood this human struggle thousands of years ago. He saw people exhausting themselves trying to prove their worth through reputation, status, and achievement. He called it the greatest illusion of freedom, because externally we look free, but internally we are tightly chained. So let me ask you something, and answer honestly. When was the last time you made a major decision based solely on what you truly wanted, without thinking about how others would judge you? Think about it. Was it months ago? Years ago? Or have you never actually done it? If our happiness depends on opinions we cannot control, then we are not free, we are prisoners. Real freedom, Zhuangzi tells us, doesn't begin with changing the world outside of us. It begins with breaking the chains inside our own minds. And that's where Zhuangzi's wisdom becomes revolutionary. The butterfly dream, freedom beyond identity. One of the most famous stories in Chinese philosophy comes from Zhuangzi himself. He once described a dream he had. I dreamed I was a butterfly, fluttering through the sky, completely free. I followed whatever breeze came, danced among the flowers, and felt nothing but joy. I had no worries, no responsibilities, no plans. I was simply a butterfly, living the perfect life. But then he woke up. He found himself lying in bed as Zhuangzi, the philosopher, the thinker, the human. And suddenly he wondered, Was I Zhuangzi who dreamed he was a butterfly, or am I actually a butterfly now dreaming I am Zhuangzi? This question isn't about debating reality. It's pointing to something deeper. We think our identity is fixed, solid, and absolute. But what if it isn't? We spend our lives defending labels: teacher, entrepreneur, parent, manager, student, successful, failure. We cling to these definitions because they make us feel secure. But the moment we believe, I must be this kind of person, we become trapped inside a mental cage. When we cling to identity, we become afraid to change careers because we've always been the responsible one. We stay in unhealthy relationships because we must play the good child, the loyal spouse, or the strong one who never breaks. We hide our dreams because others expect us to be practical. We avoid mistakes because we fear losing the image we spent years constructing. The world outside us may be open, but the prison inside our minds is locked shut. Zhuangzi's dream reminds us, identity is not something fixed. It is fluid, flexible, always transforming, just like a butterfly. When we stop clinging to labels, we discover a much lighter, freer way to exist. Think about children playing. They are completely absorbed, joyful, fearless. They aren't trying to impress anyone or prove anything. In one moment they are astronauts, in the next moment they are dragons. They don't ask, "Is this who I'm supposed to be?" They simply become whatever is alive inside them. That, Zhuangzi tells us, is true freedom. So let me ask you, sincerely, if nobody knew your job title, your achievements, your income, or your background, who would you be? What would you choose if there were no audience watching? For many people, this question is terrifying. They realize they don't actually know who they are, only who they are expected to be. But this is also where transformation begins. The moment we stop clinging to a fixed identity, we step into a wider sky, a sky where we can fly like the butterfly, unburdened and unlimited. Zhuangzi invites us to wake up, not from sleep, but from the dreams we mistake for reality. The Peng Bird, freedom requires a larger vision. Another powerful story from Zhuangzi is the parable of the Peng Bird. He writes about a tiny bird called the sparrow, who lives close to the ground, hopping from branch to branch. The sparrow spends its days looking for small seeds, flying only a few feet at a time. Its world is small, simple, predictable, and it believes it understands everything life has to offer. One day, the sparrow sees a gigantic shadow passing overhead. It looks up and sees an enormous bird, the legendary Peng, whose wings stretch like clouds across the entire sky. The Peng rises from the deep ocean and soars tens of thousands of miles into the heavens, traveling across the world in a single flight. The sparrow laughs at the Peng and mocks it. Why fly so high? Why work so hard just to travel so far? I can fly perfectly well from tree to tree. Isn't that enough? But the sparrow cannot understand the Peng, because the sparrow only sees the world within the limit of its own experience. To the sparrow, flying a little is freedom. To the Peng, flying across the world is freedom. They are living in different dimensions of life. Zhuangzi uses this story to show us something profound. The size of your freedom is determined by the size of your vision. Many of us live like the sparrow. We stay in the same job even though it suffocates us. We remain in cities that drain us, relationships that limit us, routines that numb us. Deep inside, we may feel the desire to fly higher, but we bury it because we are afraid. We say to ourselves, "This is just how life is. It's better not to take risks. What if I fail? What will people think? I should be grateful for what I have." Wanting more is unrealistic. But is it really gratitude that holds us back? Or is it fear disguised as maturity? Meanwhile, there are people like the Peng, people who dare to think bigger, dream wider, and pursue paths others find ridiculous. They leave stable jobs to build something meaningful. They move to cities where they know no one. They study something new at age 40. They walk away from comfort to follow truth. To sparrows, these people look crazy. To themselves, they are simply choosing the sky. Maybe you've experienced this. Maybe you've shared a dream with someone, only for them to reply with doubt or sarcasm. Maybe they told you it's unrealistic, irrational, or immature. And maybe you believed them. So you clipped your own wings and stayed on the same tiny branch. But here is Zhuangzi's challenge. Are you living a small life because that's truly what you want, or because you've never seen how high you could fly? Real freedom begins the moment we stop measuring our lives by the small expectations around us. It begins when we dare to expand the scale of our thinking, not slightly, but radically. You may not need to fly across the world like the Peng, but you deserve to explore the full width and depth of your own sky. So ask yourself honestly, are you choosing your life as the Peng, or accepting your life as the sparrow? When was the last time you chose growth over safety, vision over approval, possibility over fear? The sky is the same for both birds. The difference is not the world outside them, it is the world inside them. Zhuangzi reminds us, you are only as free as the size of the world you dare to imagine. Modern application, letting go of approval. Zhuangzi believed that one of the greatest obstacles to true freedom is our attachment to approval, the constant need to be seen as successful, respectable, admirable, and right. He said that people become trapped not by real chains, but by invisible ones woven from praise and blame. As long as our happiness depends on how others judge us, we will never be free. Think about how much of our lives is shaped by the desire to be liked, respected, or accepted. We choose careers not because they make us alive, but because they sound impressive. We buy things not because we need them, but because they make us look successful. We act confident even when we are breaking inside, because showing vulnerability might make others see us differently. We chase achievements not because they bring meaning, but because they bring applause. And every applause becomes another cage. Zhuangzi tells a story about a man who trained for years to become a master archer. When he practiced alone, his aim was perfect, steady hand, calm heart, clear mind. But when he entered a competition with a trophy on the line, he became nervous, shaky, and missed repeatedly. He was overwhelmed by the fear of losing face. His technique was the same, but his heart was no longer free. The moral is simple. When we care too much about winning or losing, gaining or losing, we lose ourselves. When we stop caring about outcomes, we act with natural power and clarity. You may have experienced something like this. Maybe you gave a speech or performance. Practicing alone felt smooth and easy. But when people were watching, suddenly everything felt heavy. The more you worried about how others would perceive you, the worse you performed. This is the burden of approval. Let's bring this into modern life with a real-world example. A friend of mine, let's call her Anna, worked in a prestigious company. From the outside, she looked perfect, stable career, good income, constant promotions. People admired her, she was the pride of her family, the role model of her peers. But inside, she felt suffocated. She worked until midnight every day, skipped weekends, sacrificed her health and relationships, and cried in the bathroom during lunch breaks where no one could see. One day she told me something heartbreaking. I'm terrified to quit, not because I love this job, but because I don't know who I'd be without it. Her identity was built entirely from external validation, titles, salary, praise. Without those things, she felt she would disappear. Eventually, After a health scare, she decided to step away. People were shocked. Some criticized her, saying she was wasting her talents. Some pitied her. Some even laughed. But she ignored all of it and took time off to reconnect with herself. She learned to paint. She traveled alone. She slept without alarms. She helped at a community program. Slowly, she rediscovered joy that had nothing to do with achievement. A year later, she started her own small creative business, something she had always dreamed of but was too afraid to try. It didn't make as much money, but she was radiant. She told me, "For the first time in my life, I'm not trying to prove anything. I'm just living." That is Zhuangzi's freedom. Most people think freedom means having more power or more success. Zhuangzi says real freedom is the opposite, letting go of the need to prove yourself. When you stop living for approval, something extraordinary happens. You recover your natural self. Decisions become simpler. Life becomes lighter. You can breathe again. So let me ask you, what is the one expectation you could release today that would instantly make your life lighter? Is it the expectation to always be strong? To always win? To always please your parents? To always appear successful, even when you are exhausted? Imagine, just for a moment, what your life would feel like if you stopped measuring your worth by other people's opinions. Would you choose a different career? Would you take a risk you've been avoiding? Would you say no more often? Would you finally rest? Zhuangzi teaches us that freedom begins not when the world changes, but when the voice inside us becomes louder than the voices around us. When we stop tying our self-worth to outcomes, we become unshakable. When we stop chasing praise, we stop fearing failure. When we stop performing for the world, we start living for our soul. Freedom is not something we find, it is something we reclaim. The useless tree, redefining value, reclaiming freedom. Another one of Zhuangzi's most transformative teachings is the story of the useless tree. In this parable, a carpenter and his apprentice walk past a gigantic, ancient tree. Its trunk is thick and solid, its branches wide and full, giving shade to travelers and animals beneath it. The apprentice is astonished and says, "What an incredible tree! It must be extremely valuable for wood." But the carpenter laughs and replies, "This tree is completely useless. Its wood is too twisted and full of knots to build anything. If you tried to make furniture out of it, it would crack. If you made tools from it, they would break. Nobody wants it. That's why it has grown so large and lived so long." The tree survived precisely because it was considered useless. While all the perfectly straight, beautiful trees were cut down long ago, shaped into tables and beams, only to wither and rot, the useless tree remained free, flourishing for centuries. Zhuangzi asks us to rethink a dangerous assumption. Who decides what is useful and what is useless? And why do we give that judgment so much power over our lives? In modern society, everything is measured by productivity, income, efficiency, performance, speed, competitiveness. People are valued for how much they can produce, how much they can achieve, how much they benefit others. If we aren't productive, we're labeled lazy. If we're not ambitious, we're called failures. If we choose rest, reflection, or creativity without guaranteed financial return, we're told we're wasting time. We grow up learning to shape ourselves into whatever society considers useful. So we cut off our branches, our curiosity, our softness, our dreams, just to fit into roles we never chose. We learn to hide the parts of ourselves that people don't approve of. In trying to become a straight tree, we forget what it means to be alive. But Zhuangzi reveals something revolutionary. True freedom begins when we stop letting society define our worth. Let me share a real example. There is a man I know who left a high-paying corporate job to become a pottery artist. When he first announced his plan, everyone thought he had lost his mind. Friends said he was throwing away his future. His parents were ashamed. People whispered behind his back, calling him foolish and unrealistic. In the eyes of society, he went from a successful professional to a useless person. And yet today, he wakes up every morning filled with joy. He spends his days shaping clay, listening to music, feeling the rhythm of his hands. His income is modest, but his heart is full. His work now brings peace to others, beauty into homes, and meaning into his own life. He told me once, "The world thought I became useless. But this is the first time I feel truly alive." This is what Zhuangzi means by the useless tree. When we stop trying to be what others want us to be, we finally become who we are meant to be. When we stop chasing usefulness, we discover purpose. When we stop fighting for approval, we grow in directions unique and natural to our soul. So let me ask you directly. What part of yourself have you cut down to fit into the world's expectations? Your creativity? Your playfulness? Your independence? Your real passions? And another question? What would happen if you stopped proving your value and simply lived it? Maybe people would criticize you. Maybe they'd laugh. Maybe they would misunderstand your choices. But like the ancient tree, you would finally have space to grow, slowly, steadily, freely, without pressure to be anything other than yourself. Zhuangzi teaches us that freedom begins when we stop trying to be useful according to someone else's standard. You do not need to justify your existence. You do not need permission to be yourself. Sometimes the most powerful life is the one that looks useless to others, but peaceful, joyful, and whole to you. Transformation, from chains to true freedom. After exploring Zhuangzi's timeless stories, the butterfly dream, the Peng Bird, and the useless tree, we begin to see a pattern. True freedom is never about external circumstances. It's never about wealth, power, or the approval of others. It is about liberating the mind from the chains we carry inside. We are bound by fear, comparison, and rigid ideas of identity. We are trapped by the need to perform, to appear successful, to live up to expectations we did not choose. But Zhuangzi's wisdom shows a different path, a path toward inner liberation. The butterfly reminds us that identity is fluid. The Peng Bird teaches that freedom requires boldness and vision beyond the ordinary. The useless tree demonstrates that our value is not dictated by external standards. Taken together, they form a blueprint for reclaiming life on our own terms. Imagine waking up without the pressure of proving yourself. Imagine making choices based on curiosity, passion, and joy rather than fear or obligation. Imagine allowing yourself to grow in ways that feel natural and fulfilling, even if others don't understand. This is what freedom feels like. It is light. It is peaceful. It is real. This transformation is not a single event, it is a daily practice. It starts by noticing where we cling to external approval. It grows when we dare to release expectations, stop defending a fixed identity, and embrace uncertainty. It blooms when we choose vision over safety, depth over convenience, and authenticity over performance. Each small act of courage stretches the wings of the mind, opening space for life to be lived fully. So, let me ask you one final time. What is one fear, expectation, or label that you can let go of today to experience a fraction of this freedom? Zhuangzi invites us not to escape the world, but to stop being enslaved by it. Freedom is not a distant goal, it is the state of mind we cultivate when we stop letting invisible chains define our choices. When we stop performing for others and start living for ourselves, we soar. We breathe. We exist fully. The world outside will always have its rules, judgments, and expectations. But the mind, when unshackled, is infinite. And in that infinity lies the essence of true freedom. Remember, freedom is not something you find, it is something you reclaim, one thought, one choice, one day at a time.